In section 3.3, this is number 3. It says find all the zeros of the function. Now this is a hard section, probably the hardest sections that we're going to deal with in this semester. And we want to find all the zeros. So first we're going to apply the rational zero test. You take the factors of your back number 6 over the factors of your front number 8. And again, this is factors, not that single division. So my factors of 6 would be plus or minus 1 and 6, 2 and 3. And then my factors of 8 would be 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Then you divide all of the numbers in the top by all of the numbers individually in the bottom. So my possible zeros, and that's a good test question, is what are all the possible zeros, or possibly finding them all, would be 1, 2, 3, 6. Then divide all these numbers by 2. So 1/2. Let's see, 2, 3/2. And if I already have it listed, like 6 over 2 is 3, and I already have it listed, I'm not going to list it again. All your numbers over 4, so 1/4. 2/4 would be 1/2, and it's already listed. 3/4, 6/4 would be 3 over 2, and we already have that. Then we have 1/8. 2/8 is a fourth, and so 3/8, and then 6/8 is 3/4, and we already have it listed. So these are all my possible zeros, and all my real zeros of this function will be in that list. Then I have to try synthetic, because my goal is there's 3 zeros for me to find. If I can find one of them and get it to be a quadratic, then I'm going to quit funneling through these. Now here's my advice when you're trying to find these. Think about your numbers. If you have no negatives throughout here, try a negative of your possibilities. Maybe even just, if you're very systematic, start with 1. If your numbers are kind of large, maybe pick a fraction so that they go down pretty quickly. So I'm just going to start with 1 and show you what that looks like. So it gives me 8, -2, -25, -6. Now do make sure you set up your synthetic correctly. You don't want to be funneling through answers with the wrong synthetic. So I'm just adding and multiplying, adding, multiplying, and that did not give me 0, so 1 is not an answer. Let me go ahead and try 2. Let's go a little bit larger numbers. So 8, -2, -25, -6. So I'm going to bring down my 8, multiply, and then add vertically. Multiply, and then add vertically. Oh, this is looking good. And then add, so it gave me a remainder of 0. So that tells me 2 is a 0 of this function. Now, since I started out as an x cubed, I'm now at x squared. I'm going to take 8x squared plus 14x plus 3, and I'm just going to go ahead and either factor or do quadratic formula. Now let's see if this one factors to get us going. So I'm going to multiply those two together to give me 24x squared. I'm going to think of the factors. What will multiply to give me 24x squared? That's 1x and 24x, 2x and 12x, 3x and 8x, 4x and 6x. 5 would be the next number, and it doesn't work, and 6 is at the bottom of this list. Then I want to think of all these options. Do any add to give me 14, and it would be these two options. So I'm going to split this. 8x squared plus 2x plus 12x plus 3. And then I can go into my factor by grouping. So I could factor a 2x out of the front, leaving me with a 4x plus 1. In the back, I could factor out a 4, leaving me with, oh, nope, factor out a 3, leaving me with 4x plus 1. And then I can bring that 4x plus 1 out front, leaving me with 2x plus 3. Now remember, we already took out that 2 way up here, so that was an x minus 2 times this quadratic, x minus 2 times this quadratic. And so x minus 2 times these individual functions, this is your fully factored polynomial. Now it wants me to find the zeros, so if I set each of these equal to 0, now we already know that one to be 2 from way up here. And then I'll take 4x plus 1 equal to 0, and that gives me 4x equal to 1, or x to be 1/4, which you'll notice was up here in our possibilities. And then I'm going to take that 2x plus 3, set it equal to 0. That gives me 2x, oops, excuse me, that was a negative when I subtracted the 1 over. Let me not be so careless with my negatives there. And x to be -3/2. So what are the zeros of this function? 2 -3/2 and -1/4, which here, if you feel more comfortable with this quadratic and going into quadratic formula, you still would have gotten there. Now, in regards to the exam, because you can see how much time this took. In regards to the exam, I normally give you a jumping off point, such as a factor of 0, to say, hey, start with this number and then break it down from there, because we are in a time constraint. So I can't give you a ton of these problems. Going through all those possible zeros can be very time consuming, but I am going to give you a couple. And I'm probably going to give you a jumping off point so that you're not just funneling through hitting dead ends along the way. So I hope this helps with number 3. Let me know if you need additional assistance.